John Parker Wilson was one of the toughest quarterbacks to ever play at Alabama. Listen, his offensive line was good, but he didn't have the offensive line they had now. He took some shots, and he never missed a snap. One of the toughest quarterbacks to ever play at Alabama, John Parker Wilson. John Parker, how are you?
I love it. I'm good, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, we're talking today about, obviously everyone is focused on this quarterback competition, and I was wondering from your perspective, having gone through that, during these summer months when no one's really watching, what are these guys doing behind the scenes to try to maybe get a leg up on their competition?
Right now it's a lot of individual, kind of on their own stuff. So the coaches really can't be that involved right now. So it's a lot of trying to get prepared on your own. Obviously, you can work out with Coach Cochran and those guys, but the coaches are really limited in their time. So you got to take it upon yourself to go and try to find a receiver, try to stay fresh on your skills, because when training camp comes, obviously you don't have a lot of time to make a big impact, and it has to happen quick.
Yeah, and that's what I had been talking about. A lot of this is based on a guy's motivation, is grabbing a wide receiver and say, hey, let's go throw. How do you do that when there are four quarterbacks probably trying to if you're Calvin Ridley, how do you pick which quarterback you want to go when you're going to go work out with?
Well, I mean, the quarterbacks are all together. So, in the quarterback room is pretty tight room, and you're going to be working out. You might not even need a receiver to go out there. So you might go out there and stand where, 10-yard out routes are going to be, or a skinny post. There's not a ton you can do right now this time of year. It's just trying to stay sharp. So some of these guys have their own quarterback coach. That's become pretty popular, but everybody's different, and you just have to prepare yourself as best as you can for training camp, because that's what basically it all boils down to.
How much time is spent on your own, especially in the summer, working out with these wide receivers? Because I get the feeling most people don't realize how important the timing is, that every wide receiver comes in and out of their breaks differently, that timing is such a critical aspect. How much of it is spent trying to get chemistry with a wide receiver?
A lot. That's where you kind of develop the timing, is in the off season when you're doing what we call routes on air. You're out there and he's going to run that 18-yard in cut, and you've got to take a 7-step drop, and when he, the ball's got to be in the air before he even gets out of your cut. So this is where that develops, is this time, during spring training definitely, but these months where there's not a lot of offense versus defense. Just go out there. Okay, we're gonna go through the route tree today, run through all the routes, and try to complete every ball against the air. And that's where this timing we always talk about is developed. It's just spending time together and knowing exactly when the guy's going to break versus the next guy, because everybody is different. Everybody runs routes a little bit different.
Talking with John Parker Wilson, obviously multi-year starter quarterback for Alabama. John, I get the sense most people don't realize also how important that relationship between a center and his quarterback is, and I think Alabama fans may have gotten a little spoiled with Ryan Kelly. How much time does it take to get on the same page with a new center?
That's developed during training camp. So you've got to go out there, and with the play clock, it happens fast. You've got to identify, who the middle linebacker is. It bases all the protection and the run games. And you got to know when to make changes, and that's all done with the center and the quarterback. A guy like Ryan Kelly just went up there and did it, and he knew what he was doing, and that's a huge security blanket for the quarterback, is knowing that you've got other things to look at where there's secondary, but when you come to the line of scrimmage, he was going to have everybody on the same page. That's what the communication's about. That's what the chemistry between a quarterback and the center is, just making sure everybody on the offensive line, the running backs, on the same page of the running game, especially the pass game, because that's when, you see sometimes guys are unblocked. Linebackers like, oh, my God, how can you not block that guy coming straight for the quarterback? Well, that's usually because of a miscommunication of where, the guard was working to, and the running back has to know. So that's when a good veteran center is worth his weight in gold.
Talking to John Parker Wilson about the current Alabama quarterback situation, I'm wondering also, is it a detriment or does it actually help when you have to go up against the defense that like Alabama? It's basically you're going up against the number one defense every spring practice, every fall practice. Does it eventually wear away at a quarterback's confidence, or does it help getting the reps against the defense that good?
It definitely helps, because your confidence might get down there in the week, but when whoever you face on Saturday is probably not going to be as good as the defense you're seeing in practice. So while it hurts you during the week and during the camp, going into a game that you've been prepared, and then you have faced a defense. The other defense might be as good, but I don't think anybody is going to be better than the top to bottom from the defensive line all the way to the cornerbacks. You're going to see the best every day, and it definitely gives you confidence going into the game week.
From what you've seen, and I don't know how much you've seen of it outside of maybe 8-day, but who do you think is it Cooper Bateman because of his experience? Does he currently have as much of a leg up as we think, or how much behind the scenes can a quarterback make up during this time?
You can't make up a lot of ground right now. There's not an opportunity. You're not going out there and practice. You do it in practice for quarterback. Go out there performing. Where we just had the spring game, and now it's going to be in training camp. You got to go out there and win the lot. I think the biggest thing you can do right now is just have the other guys in the locker room know that you got their back, know that you're out there working hard, know that you're doing everything you can right now to prepare for training camp. And then when that happens, it's just whoever, protects the ball and goes out there and makes the most plays. So right now it's just, being a teammate, it's being leading by example, because there's not a ton you can do playing-wise to separate yourself right now.
Speaking to John Parker Wilson about, what it takes to behind the scenes to get really in that competition for the starting quarterback. Cooper Bateman is a guy that this weekend was at the Manning Passing Academy. From what you've seen of him, what do you like about the way he plays, and where does he need to get better?
I like a lot of things about him. Obviously, every quarterback needs to get better, but I think he kind of came out last year and showed that he can handle the situation. There was a lot of turmoil at the beginning of the season where, he was getting ready to play, Cougar was getting ready to play. So he's been in that situation. He knows what it's like. He knows also what training camp's going to be like. So I think his experience is definitely his, biggest tool right now, and he's just got to go out there and use it and show his stuff during camp. I think, last year we went into the second or the third game till we found out who the starter was. I think Coach Saban would love to see somebody separate themselves early, and that's kind of what you're getting ready for now. And then in August, when camp starts, that's when it really gets tight. So I think we'll start with 3 or 4 quarterbacks and see how quickly we whittle down, because right now I think it's anybody's job.
Talking to John Parker Wilson, obviously former Alabama quarterback, about what it takes to be the Crimson Tide starting quarterback. I know you do some work for AL.com, film room stuff, that if you're a fan of football and the intricacies of offensive football, definitely check that out. What are you up to these days, John Parker?
So I'm a financial advisor with Morgan Stanley now. I've been doing that ever since I got done playing ball. So it's good to be back, in Alabama, in the community, working with, local businesses and families. It's been really, really good for me and my family to be back here. It's good to be able to now serve the community that has been so good to me for so long.